something that Van and Kim were passionate about, was to help our community. We're not here to make money. We're here to enrich lives. And, society scoreboard is dollars and cents, but it's not the only thing that we have to focus on.
Hmm. You know, a lot of my listeners are familiar. My brother was the CEO of In-N-Out Burger for many years. You guys have In-N-Out there in Texas. I worked there for a lot of years, and his family is the owners of the company. One thing that he was tasked with was to carry on the message of their founders and carry that throughout. And he told me one day, he says, Jim, the hardest part of my job is to say no to everything because there's so many great ideas and people want to do different things. They want us to do chicken or do this. And to say no to all these wonderful ideas to stay the path is the hardest part. And I'm hearing your story, hearing what you're talking about, but this Mr. Van is resonating in the back of my mind, especially his role as a director. What direction has he given you to stay that path? What things is he adamant about that you guys will always follow and never change?
Jim, I think this is great for your listeners to hear. He said, do one thing and do it exceptionally well. Don't start doing a bunch of things and just doing them okay.
Yeah.
So he helps inspire us to carry on the tradition of making egg rolls. Jim, we're faced with, there's a broad spectrum of Asian foods. We could be doing dumplings or appetizers or soba noodles or stir fry kits. All we do is make egg rolls. That's all we do. And we make a few varieties of egg rolls. We package them in different ways. They go to different channels in industry, but all we do is make egg rolls. And that's very unlike most of our competitors. Mm-hmm. They are typically a multi corporate conglomerate that's making all different things and going every which way but loose. All we do is make egg rolls each and every day. And if we can't do that well, then maybe we should be looking at other options. But we have that honesty check with ourselves each and every day as we're trying to put love in those egg rolls and get them out to nourish people. And you gotta do that one bite at a time, because that's how people really do value your food. When you're taking that bite, if you don't like it, you're going to go, ooh, drop it, and that's it. You're done. Mm-hmm. They're not going to come back and maybe give you a second chance. And so we have to win each and every bite to make every bite the best one. And that's one of our mission statements for how do we execute our why.
Your message resonates with me. I have a client, he's 95 years old. He was growing organic vegetables in Santa Barbara in the 50s and 60s, probably one of the first ones to do that. And his philosophy was he was putting white light into his vegetables, meaning they did everything they could possible to grow the purest, cleanest, best organic tomatoes that you would ever see, and all the other things, broccoli and lettuce and cabbage and things like that. And his son asked him one time to explain that to him. He said, well, son, if we harvested these vegetables and we put them in a box and we shipped them to New York, and a guy takes that tomato and slices it open and takes a bite, he could feel the white light that we put into this. And that was the term he used, but you've used love several times, which really resonates with me, because I think when we put our best into something, that the recipient of that can feel that. And I sense that in your story, and I love that you've used that term several times. Is that something that your employees resonate with and speak of that often?
Yes, Jim. So that's our rallying cry to really bring everyone to the table. So we talk about there's room at the table for everyone. Mm-hmm. We're talking about all different ages, sexes, colors, affiliations, religions, ethnicities, what country you're from. Like, we feel like everyone was made to love and mm-hmm. to be loved. And so that's one of our taglines is it's made to love. And, we believe in a higher power, and we don't get into which religion's right or wrong. We just believe we all have someone that's bigger than us that we're accountable to. And that deity made us to love mm-hmm. and to share love with each other. During these tough times, with some of the dissent in our country, we keep going back to, if you just look at what's lovable about people instead of what's different, a lot of this will kind of start to slip away because we have more similarities than we think. Mm-hmm. And we tend to focus on the differences, not on the commonalities. And, the other thing that we keep talking about is we all have to eat. And so we're trying to bring people together around the dinner table, around the table, to share a meal, to share experiences. And when you do that, people start to slip those differences and the divisiveness away. When you look across the table at somebody in the eyes and go, you know what? Your story's not a lot different than mine. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your perspective. Thank you for sharing a difference. But we're common. We're brothers or sisters.
I love that messaging. You also have a message on your website. It says every single member of our team is a role model to those around them. And I think oftentimes we forget the roles that we play when we're on a team. If you're not at the top, you just feel like you're part of the team in some cultures. But it sounds like in your company, everybody fills that elevated role of being responsible and helping the ones around them.
When I meet our new role models, the first thing I want to tell them is my job is to make you successful. Because if you don't make the food, if you don't help us execute how we provide the why to folks, I can't do my job. Mm-hmm. So they're more important than I am. And I think when you look at corporate structures, they're going to be looking at me like, well, you're the chief revenue officer. You've got a really important title. And I go, I want you to understand you are the most important person here. And I'm humble enough to tell you that I want to help you be the best you can be. You're a role model to me. I look up to you to come to work every day, to try your hardest, to have a smile on your face, working hard, because we frankly want people who enjoy the pride in which they're doing what they do. No matter what society calls that, it's a menial job. To us, it's not. It's important. It's vital. If cabbage doesn't get chopped, if they don't blend the vegetables, if they don't mix the filling, if they don't make the wrappers, all of those things are important jobs. Because if those don't get done, the egg rolls don't get made, they don't get packaged, they don't get shipped out, and they don't show up on the grocery store shelves for people to be able to get nourished by. Yeah. So their jobs are more important than mine.
I really wish and desire that more restaurant leaders, food industry leaders would have the same approach that you have, especially as we suffer through tough times across the country. You go into these restaurants and employees aren't happy, managers aren't happy, but what they're not seeing is the other side of the counter, in my opinion, is the customer that's coming in more than likely had a tough day one way or another, or is going through the same thing that you're going through. And a meal is an opportunity to have a temporary satisfaction away from the burden of life, if you will. And that's what you're delivering. And again, I just appreciate that you say the love into your product, because if more places realize that, not only would they be happier in their jobs, but their customers would feel that as well. And it's really kind of a bummer, to be honest with you, as I go to restaurants and stuff and people are just unsatisfied. It's like, hey, you have a chance to do something here.
Yeah, and I really thank the servicemen and women that are in the industry, helping to take orders and they're working in the kitchen. And I understand when things take time, and I really try to give them that piece of like, hey, look, I know y'all are doing the best you can, and y'all are backed up or you're short staffed. We really appreciate that you provided the meal to us. Let us have a chance to not work for that meal, and you're doing it for us. And again, appreciating their servant leadership where they're serving us.
Yeah.
And, I try to look beyond that dollars and cents. And I will get on my soapbox. If you can't afford to tip your servers, don't go eat out, because they're working hard to help serve you. And the majority of their pay is coming from that tip. And even if you don't like it, give them enough to live on, and tell the manager that you didn't like it. Don't yell at the server, because it's not typically their fault. So
there was you guys have a beautiful Instagram page, by the way. There was an Instagram meme that was going around amongst some of these industry influencers I'd mentioned earlier with Arte Group, and it was the $100 tip challenge. And it didn't matter what your bill was, but it was to leave a $100 tip for that server just to help them get through a little bit more of this COVID or the lack of customers, the slowdown, et cetera. And I saw a lot of posts. It was fascinating how many people got behind it. So just a little challenge for y'all out there, because I'm with Carl. If you can't afford to tip your servers and be kind and thankful for them, then you probably shouldn't go out. So do your best to help them. They are serving you, as you suggested.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah. So going back to your Instagram real quick, I mean, I like to look at all people's photos kind of in a snapshot. And what I see and what resonates with your company and your snapshot there is how happy and fun your company is. And in your description, it says old school egg rolls with a new school perspective. I love that.
Thank you. A lot of our consumers grew up eating egg rolls. And so we're trying to connect to the next generations. You had asked me earlier, what's egg rolls about, kind of what's our take. One of the things I didn't mention that we see is the way the younger generations interact with egg rolls are much different than their parents. Our core customers that we're more familiar serving.
Mm-hmm.
The younger folks, they don't eat themed meals like we used to. Probably, Jim, if your mom would have, say, done an Asian food night, she'd fix noodles and you would have maybe a soup, maybe miso soup, but there would be a theme to it. Whereas like my kids are the same younger generation. They'll eat egg rolls with Italian, with Thai, with Indian, and they'll mash them all up.
Uh-huh.
One of the things we found through Instagram is it led to what I would call the deconstruction of the egg rolls. So we have folks that take the egg rolls apart and do things like make the soup out of a chicken egg roll, using the egg roll not as a meal, but as ingredients to something else. And so that's where we see that fun aspect. And honestly, part of my job is to keep things fun. We all work hard and people get focused on success, making their goals, hitting their numbers. But I always look at the teams and say, but are we having fun?
Yeah.
Because I can't pay you to have fun. But if you're having fun, it's not all about the pay either. We want to pay a living wage, and we do, and give great benefits and be a place where people truly are appreciated, not just a dollar on a paycheck, but all the other things they need to have a great life. But in the end, we want to draw people in because we're a place that we enjoy what we do. We show up at work every day enthusiastic to take on the day, not feeling dread like, oh my gosh, now I'm going to have another, 8 hours here and I can't wait till I go home.
Yeah. Well, Carl, we burned through my time pretty fast here. I'm, again, still on your website and now craving, of course, some egg rolls. I see that I can find them at Walmart near me. Do you guys have national Walmart distribution?
We are fortunate that we do. We started off with Walmart. There were only 50 super centers around the country.
Yeah.
Last quick story. So my wife, Theresa, and I come back from calling on Walmart, and Mr. Van goes, what do you mean you sold Walmart? They don't sell food. And we were kind of explaining to him, like, they're just getting started, and this may be something pretty big. And so we've been blessed that we were the first egg roll company in their super centers, which is kind of the food and dry goods combined. And we've been in ever since we started. So we've maybe sometimes had more or less distribution with them, but we're in multiple departments in their stores.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I was younger, I'm in my 50s now, I couldn't stand Walmart. I wouldn't go in the door, and it just wasn't me. I was a Target fan. You got those. I'm Target. But when I heard the Walmart story about how they started and how they were an outpost in areas where you couldn't get groceries, where you literally, hey, it's Saturday, we're driving 50 miles to Walmart to get what we need, and Walmart, they strive to have everything that farmer or that person needed in one store, a quality product at a good price. And so that's why you go into Walmart. There's a little bit of random everything. And of course, now food for many years. And, I took a different look at Walmart.